Hi guys, quick analysis review video. This is subject to interpretation, so there's nothing here that's going to be solid in this video. So if you're one of those people that don't like interpretation videos, possible date connections, then I suggest you stop watching now. For the rest of you, on April the 1st / April the 2nd, I already pointed out the reference to the Chinese space station Tiangong-1 heavenly palace crashing down to Earth, and how the images looked like a red dragon. So that was their symbolic reference to the dragon crashing down. And then 13 days later, we had the strikes on Syria on April the 13th for us in the UK, and on the eastern side of America, or for the whole of America in that case, and Saturday the 14th for Israel. So, significant event, Chinese space station. 13 days later, another significant event, Syria strikes. 13 days later brings us to the 26th of April. And from the earlier reports I was reading, I expected North and South Korea to be meeting tomorrow, but they're actually meeting today, which is significant because the part in the iPad Goat video, which is this scene here, I think is what is currently unfolding. I think this scene speaks of a slightly later stage than what we're seeing today. So, as I've said, from this meeting, important thing to watch for is to see if North Korea and South Korea announce an end to their 70-year ongoing war, or at least an official end to the ongoing war, and possible reunification of the Korean Peninsula, because that's what this scene in the iPad Goat video is depicting. North and South Korea have already unified, but something happens that causes China to come to war, and North and South Korea are basically saying no, they're waving their peace flag or their unification flag. The tiger on their back represents North and South Korea as a unit. So North and South Korea unify. So I don't expect anything devastating to happen today. What I expect is the announcement of unification, or at least the plans to reunify, and the announcement of the official end to this war that they've been embroiled in for all these years. But then, as I said, something happens that brings China into this war, as represented by those tanks coming in like they did in Tiananmen Square. That's the only reference that we have to tanks coming in a line facing a person who could be a student, like they did in Tiananmen Square. So then we get the skeleton blowing his party favor, and we have 5 explosions in the background. Now, I think that those 5 explosions are linked to the Middle East. In particular, the scene where the mosque gets bombed, or the temple gets bombed, whatever it represents. Come on, don't start this. Excuse me, we'll see if it wants to play in a second. Maybe I'll just refresh it. But yeah, scene there, we are looking at the mosque getting bombed, and obviously out of that comes 5 missiles. And then obviously later on in the video, we're then taken over to what looks like the Korean Peninsula, where we then see 5 explosions in the background behind the skeleton. If I can even line it up on there. Sorry, for some reason when I try and skip forward on this video, it freezes now. I'm not sure why. But either way, you see what I'm saying. North and South Korea look like they're unified in this video. Tiger representing North and South Korea unification on the back of the girl. The white flag representing peace. The no nuclear sign. The love heart. We've been through all of that before. So I think today is where we hear something in terms of unification, some sort of peace agreement coming out of North and South Korea, and they're meeting today. And then sometime after that, possibly in May, the 5 missiles could represent, the month of May. May is the 5th month. That's just an interpretation. I'm not saying that's what it is. It's just a possible interpretation of what the 5 missiles could represent. But there's 5 missiles that come out of the mosque, and there's 5 missiles that explode in the background behind this skeleton, and I think they're connected. So the reason for China coming in to the war is something to, or the reason China looking like they're going to war is something to do with the Middle East, is what I'm interpreting here. Something kicks off in the Middle East, and that brings China in at the time when North and South Korea have either just unified or have just announced their unification, which could possibly be today. So basically, look out for today in terms of any messages like that coming from the North and South Korean meeting. And then shortly after that, a couple of days or, a week or 2 or 3, it's going up to May 14th, then we may see the situation that has been gradually stepping up in the Middle East. That may kick off at that time then, which then obviously brings China in, and then we get to this scene here with North and South Korea saying no war, but China not really listening and going in regardless. And then in reference to China and the Chinese space station, the Dragon references that we've had over the last couple of weeks, we get another one today. I was watching the news and they kept talking about this Dragon energy that Kanye West referred to in a tweet to Donald Trump, and Donald, basically saying thank you for the compliment. Dragon energy is nothing good. If we're looking at dragon biblically, then dragon is the serpent is the devil is Satan, Lucifer, the fallen angel. So that energy is bad, negative energy. And I just want to say, for anyone who had any sort of thoughts that Donald Trump was, chosen one by God like Noah, Moses, or Jesus, no. Just no. I don't care what you say, just no. Donald Trump is instrumental to their plans, and obviously their plans are incorporated into God's plans, because God's plans cover everyone's plans. But no, I don't think he is a chosen one in that respect. He's playing a role, he's fulfilling the role, but that's about it. Nothing more than that. And just again, in reference to dragons, Google has been going a bit crazy with the dragon references. Yesterday, Hung King's commemoration day, like the Chinese dragon there. On the 23rd, St. George's Day, St. George mythically slayed a dragon. And obviously, I don't really need to go back as far, but the references that we've had in terms of Omar Sharif, Maria Felix, Dr. Maya Angelou, and then even here I was looking at this one again, the John Harrison one. I seem to keep coming back to this one, the 5 clocks, and obviously again we're coming into May, so maybe could be a reference to May. Again, that's just an interpretation, just a possible indication, just possible interpretation of what this image could indicate. The Golden State Killer makes me want to put a warning out for California. I've put out warnings for California before. They're obviously one of the states in America where earthquakes are, a big thing, and the news about a big one hitting California has been going on for years. So someday something like that's going to happen, according to all these officials, researchers, and experts. But the Golden State Killer, just forgetting about the man, who he was and what he did, just the name Golden State Killer is what drew my attention, because it was like, okay, Golden State Killer could refer to a person from the Golden State who kills, or a person who has killed in the Golden State, or it could refer to something that kills the Golden State. And in that respect, you've got obviously the reference to the earthquake, the big one, that could possibly have a connection to, tsunami again, something like that happening. the threats of, missile attacks coming from North Korea, even though those threats seem to have lessened in the last couple of weeks. We don't know what the future is going to bring, so there's particular references to California as well being separate from the United States in terms of secession. They want to have like their own kind of Brexit in terms of Calexit. So that could refer to the iPad Goat video, possibly, in terms of the last star on the flag being ripped off. I don't think it is, though, because the last state to be added to join the United States is Hawaii, and obviously the references to Obama, the volcano that's currently, overflowing there and could possibly lead to something bigger. Maybe it could erupt, who knows? But the more likely scenario is Hawaii is the one that kind of is taken off the map. And that could happen by nuclear attack, as they did get the false missile alert back in February, I think it was, or January. Or it could be that the volcano erupts, and because of all the ash fallout and the acid rain and stuff like that, it causes the island to become inhabitable over time. But those are just interpretations. As I said at the beginning of this video, this is just an analysis video. It's not really a news video, more looking at past events, kind of linking them together. I find a little bit of significance in the 1313 in terms of April the 1st, the Chinese dragon thing, Great Dragon crashing down space station, whatever you want to call it. Then 13 days later, the Syria strikes, and then 13 days later, the North and South Korean meeting. I don't know if that pattern will continue in terms of 13 days later again, but there are indications that the iPad Go video, at least this part of it, the unification part of it, is playing out today as we speak. So you guys, if you're able, pay attention to what's going on there, see if you can catch any of the news coming out of there, see if they do talk about an official end to this war and unification. And if that does happen, then we need to be cautious that something in the Middle East doesn't, spiral out of control in terms of Iran attacking Israel or Israel attacking Iran, and then that escalating, drawing in China and the USA. And as I said, down the rabbit hole everyone goes. You guys have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and God bless.